Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the opening round of this ORL Championship. This is Ruben Racebug Mania, and beside me in the commentary booth we have Joana Gaunt Brito. Good evening, everyone watching us on our channel, and good evening to you, Joana. And this is surely an exciting moment for ORL. Of course, a brand new season is upon us. And what do you have to say about the challenge for the drivers that they are going to have to face this afternoon? We are muted. You muted yourself.
Nice one. Good evening, good evening, Ruben. Good evening, everyone. After this fantastic start, I think it's going to be once more a very exciting season. Very talented drivers on our grid, and a very interesting calendar, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, speaking of that, we can take a look at that. We are going to be kicking things off with Canada today, of course. China was used as a preseason race, and we might have something to take from the results of that race, of course. But the official start is today at Canada, and we are going to be continuing in Europe for Belgium and the Netherlands before going to the Middle East and to Bahrain, then to Asia, to Japan, then across the Pacific to the USA, then back for Saudi Arabia, finishing with another back-to-back at Europe with the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, or the race at Imola, and then we are coming back to the home of Formula 1, going back to Silverstone for the season finale and the British Grand Prix, which is of course scheduled for now at March 20th. And in fact, I can see that we are going to be racing at Imola on my birthday, so that's going to be hopefully a good race. But yeah, looking at this calendar, what do you have to say? Any particular track or race that you are excited for?
That's a tough question. I mean, there are loads of tracks here that I quite enjoy, like Belgium, Japan, and Great Britain. Although there is a huge potential on the last one for DRS to run the whole race, but at this level, I guess that's probably going to happen in a lot of places. Um, Canada, it's one of my favorites as well. We start there tonight, and hopefully. A good show to kick off this championship.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a great show today at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, but we can look back at the previous weekend and take a look at the results of the preseason race, as we got Álvaro Carretón, unfortunately isn't going to be racing today, but Alessio de Capua is, and he might have a say at an early attempt of taking the championship lead. Any indications to take from this? Of course, the pack very compact, as you can see from the gaps, especially Capua, Ricci, and Sven Zerner there, about a second separating the three of them, and those might be the early contenders for this first race win, right, Gaunt?
I wouldn't take anyone off the fight just yet. The championship hasn't really started. It was just a preseason, just a preseason race. We can take some conclusions from it, but nothing definitely. Patrick, for example, finished on P17. I know he's um, pretty quick, like the rest, but in my opinion, he's one of the fastest. So I believe he might have a say in this. His teammate in P3 showed good pace, had a nice result. And if you notice, Alpha Tauri, you mentioned Alessio De Capo, but also his teammate Dario Iemolo in the top 10, and that happened only in AlphaTauri and Aston Martin with Samuel Bin and Sergi Quesada both on P6 and P9. So maybe something to come from Aston Martin, even though we won't have these two defending the team from Silverstone tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be unfortunate, but still pretty well composed field we have today. Of course, plenty of well-known drivers from the community overall, and also from previous seasons here at ORL. And it is going to be interesting to see who is going to be able to take the advantage today. Of course, a track, one of my particular favorites, actually my favorite racetrack, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and it really, I really do have a soft spot for it. I really do enjoy it. And it's a bit of the mixture of the high speed with the low margin for error, because of course places like Monaco, for example, the walls are unforgiving, but you are also driving relatively slowly. And at Canada, you are generally going through the corners at a much higher rate of speed. So the risks are a little bit higher, in my opinion. So I do quite enjoy that aspect of it. So we are still waiting a little bit for all of our drivers to get together in our race lobby, so we can start the qualifying session soon. But for now, of course, I know you don't have how to say this. I'm sure you don't really want to do this, but do you have any way too early predictions for this qualifying performance?
Why do you do that to me? Why do you do that to me? Yeah, I think it would be easier to say the esports guys.
Mm-hmm.
They are all quite close there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think that Alessia Capo also showed good pace last week. Jeffrey, it's no slow. Um, and I cannot leave Daniele Haddad out of this equation. But we have, as I as I as I like to call them, the small um, Spanish army coming that can surprise for sure with a good result as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Of course, from my side of things, I would bet on an Aston Martin one too. Actually, I'm not sure. I might be risking it a little bit, but I know firsthand how fast Samuel Bean is, so I'm going to put my bet on him for pole. I would say Haddad for P2, so a front row lockout for the Silverstone-based team, and then I would put Alessio Di Capua for P3. Not sure how well this is going to turn out, but of course this is why these are way too early predictions. So it's going to be interesting to see if any of us gets it right, wrong, or mostly right or mostly wrong. It's going to be a fun one to follow for sure in the minutes to come. More drivers are dropping into our race lobby, and soon we are going to be able to start things with the qualifying session for this first race of the championship, for this first Canadian Grand Prix. But while we wait, just going to get you some words from the sponsors, our dear sponsors here in ORL. So be right back in just a few moments. So here we are back again to the broadcasting booth, just waiting for the final drivers to get themselves set up in the lobby. But yeah, while we wait, just letting you guys know you can interact with us via a chat, and of course we'll make an effort to look at your messages from time to time. Show your support, give us your opinion as well. Who do you think is going to be the championship leader at the end of this first round of the championship, and your predictions for pole as well, of course, always welcomed. So always nice to see you guys show the support for your favorite drivers. So we are going to be on our merry way in just a few moments. Looks like everything is close to being ready. And Joanna, any final words before we start this qualifying session?
Not really. Let's see if we can put this show on the road. Some words of encouragement to Stefano from Roberto in the chat. But yeah, let's see. I think our drivers are in their final preparations, and we can start this round.
Yeah, just waiting for the final word from race director, if I can call it that, our Michael Masi for today, if I can say that. We're going to just wait on his call to get things started. But before that, we have a few words to say about our track. Just waiting for confirmation everything is correct, and yes, I do see the drivers getting themselves ready. So let's get underway for the action for this Canadian Grand Prix. And what a better track to kick the things off at. Welcome to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. 4.4 kilometers, 14 corners, 3 DRS zones. One of those rare occasions where the drag reduction system can be utilized 3 times in a lap. Of course, very fast lap, over 70% of full throttle on average throughout a lap of this Canadian circuit. The lap record 1:13.078 posted by Valtteri Bottas in 2019. Let's see what the drivers can do today. Can they beat this lap time? We're going to find out for sure. Of course, a track that promotes extremely competitive racing, extremely close racing, and of course the drivers need to be on the lookout for the ever closing walls, especially at the exits of the chicane, that famous Wall of Champions is more than eager to catch any driver with an heavy right foot. Taking a look now at our drivers for the Mercedes, we have Patrick Kreutz and Sergi Quezada Kedonlat and Thomas Ronhard lining up for the Milton Keynes based team. Sven Zerner and Istvan Pukki racing for McLaren. Daniel Haddad and Samuel Bean make the lineup for the Silverstone based Aston Martin. Then jumping to France and to Alpine with Floris Wiehes and Alexi sorry, missed that name, but Domenico Lovece and Stefano Ramazzo driving for the Maranello team. Then at AlphaTauri, it's Dario Iamulo and Alessio Di Capo. Gregory Balatti and Jan Feiler represent the Alfa Romeo squad. And at Haas, we have Napadovsky and Vitsaniemi. And at last, Bernardo Perez and Pablo Armengol driving for the Williams. So we already have the qualifying session underway, and we are going to just wait patiently for our drivers to start making their appearances on the timesheets. So I'm going to take a look at that, but for the moment we have a few drivers out there already. And Marcus Tall already in the Red Bull, but he's not going to be the first one to post a lap. Looks like it's going to be Vitsaniemi at currently 18th place, but he is going to start a lap. And we could go...
it's his teammate.
What?
It's
what?
his
Sorry?
teammate starting a lap first. Darn,
yeah,
he's
it
the
is.
first driver starting his fast lap.
Yes, it is. It is Darn indeed, already getting himself through the first sector. Now turns 4 and 5, just throwing the car into it in 5th gear, finishing the first sector. And now another tricky on the power exits there for the first DRS zone of this lap, if I can call it that, before going hard on the brakes for another chicane, pretty hard as well to change directions quickly while carrying the maximum speed, and now hard on the brakes for corner number 12. Now the left-hand king of corner number 13. As you go up through the gears now, opening the RS for the second time in this lap. Now just have a moment to breathe and commit yourself to the last braking zone. Throw yourself into the last chicane. Avoid the Wall of Champions. DRS wide open at the back of the Alfa Romeo as he crosses over the line and makes it for the time being. We are not getting the lap time, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, the time was invalidated.
Oh,
the
invalidated.
first driver that will effectively put on a time on our time will be Marcus Toll, crossing the line right now with a 19225 to open the
facilities.
If we may say.
Yeah, exactly. Now we have Vitsaniemi, who is the next driver coming through. And let's see what he can do at the moment. Currently 41 seconds there or thereabout at the end of the second sector. He's coming now through the last corner. He's going to cross over the line. And it is going to be second place with a 109.778, about half a second off of the pace. And we have Feiler, I believe, also about to complete a lap.
You got that one right. He approaches the Wall of Champions but survives it and goes straight to finish his last lap and goes for pole for now. 18294. Of course, this won't be pole position as we have Q1, Q2 and Q3. I just like to call the P1 as pole position because if it was in real life and anything were to happen, it would mean a pole position.
Yeah, exactly. So it's provisory pole for now for the Haas driver. In the meantime, we have one of the Ferraris, the number 21, just warming up his tires before getting himself on a flying lap. Nardi Perez in the Williams. has already started his lap and is actually about to finish it. Yeah, he's actually about to finish that one. So let's see what he can achieve. Can he get himself there or thereabouts the mark established? No, he's actually on the intermediate. So it's actually going to be interesting to see what lap time he's going to post.
That's why I was saying it was a banker, because he, Samuel Bean and Thomas Ronhar are all on intermediate tires for now, saving the softs for later in the session.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just take a look at that, and yeah, we have the tires there. And we are going to have Samuel Bean also on the intermediates as he goes wide to let some of his rivals through, but very early in the session at the moment. You can see some drivers just trying to save some of their sets of tires, as of course full qualifying, so you can't just go give it full beans every single time. You need to be a bit smarter with it.
El Hookie invalidates his lap just on the final chicane. He'll probably give it another try soon.
Yeah. So just waiting for the drivers on the intermediates to complete their lap. Samuel Bean will probably go to the end or to the pit lane at the end of this lap, and we expect him to carry on. No, he's actually going to complete the lap, so he's going to post somewhere, well, a very slow lap, because he actually went off the circuit. So yeah, 1:27 for him as he went wide to avoid blocking other drivers. Sven Zerner now, he is on the softs, and the McLaren driver could potentially get himself a good lap as he carries himself through the second sector. Let's see what he manages to do for corner number 10. Hard on the brakes, smooth on the exit as well. So nicely approached there by Zerner. He's going up through the gears now, just waiting for the hard braking zone of the last chicane. And that looked a bit wide there for a moment, but he managed to pull it off. Crosses over the line, and it is provisory pole 1.841, so he beats Failer by just under a tenth.
And Darn immediately puts in P3, 2 positions behind Sven. For now, the Alfa Romeo driver getting to a good start.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see. Now, one of the Mercedes, Patrick Kreutz, is at the moment about to wrap up the second sector of this track. 44.2 is the sum of his first 2 sectors. And once again, just waiting for the last sector. Not much to do for the driver at this point. Just hopefully he can get a good approach for this last chicane. So he goes hard on the brakes. Gets in, comes out of it in one piece, and he's going to cross over the line. The RS wide open at the back of that W12 and gets himself P7. As he actually looks like he made a mistake somewhere along the way, as he gets a 113.7. Istvan Pukki now in the McLaren is the next contender for possibly a good lap, Shona.
At the same time, Manolo Villar starting his first flying lap, surviving. I think he nudged the wall a little bit on one of the most contentious points of this track, where Sebastian Vettel lost his win last time F1 raced here for real. But so far the lap is good. He is getting to the second chicane of 3 in this circuit and aborts his lap because he invalidated it.
Yeah, invalidated in that second chicane of the second sector. Istvan Pukki, in the meantime, grabs a lap time very similar to the one of his teammate Sven Zerner, 1.8899. And we have the pair of Toro Rossos on a lap at the moment.
You're 3 seasons down, Racebook. AlphaTauri.
Yeah, the AlphaTauris. Yeah, I don't know why I went on the Toro Rosso for some reason. But yeah, we have Dario Lemulu gets himself P2 as Patrick Crate in the meantime went on a second attempt and grabbed himself provisory pole with a 1:8.375. So pretty good lap from him. The lap times are progressively starting to drop as we draw ever closer to the end of this first qualifying session. Alessio Di Capua got himself P2 at the preseason race. Can he get himself a good position to progress to Q2? P2 for him at the moment, 108.4. Just beats his teammate by just over 0.2 of a second. And now we have the Ferrari drivers, as we have Domenico Lovece at the end of his lap. And after that, I believe it's Napadovsky who is trying to post a banker lap of his own. But for now, the number 29 comes through, but lap invalidated. Now the number 13 of the Haas is coming through the line now. Gets himself P7 right behind his teammate. And Manolo Villar gets himself P3 right after in the Alpine. Daniel Haddad is the next one to get through the finishing line. Hopefully that's a valid lap for him as he crosses over the line. P3 for him. And very close to the Capuas. We have two cars already separating both AlphaTauris. And now at the back we have Iker Bena, I believe, in the middle sector. The lap is valid so far, no mistakes from him, and looks like he's probably going into the top 10. What do you think?
I was on board with him as he's one of the three drivers that haven't yet posted a lap. The other two being Domenico Lovece and Thomas Ronha. But he's doing a decent lap, no invalidation, approaching the last chicane, keeping it together and approaching the final lap, jumping to P1. It's pole position for the Mercedes driver, 1:8.254, and that's the time to beat so far in this session.
Yes, it is indeed the time to beat for the Mercedes driver. Now let's see what Thomas Honar can do to get himself past. In the meantime, Samuel Bean grabs himself P9 on a set of mediums. Let's see if he's going to find himself safely through, despite going on that yellow marked tire for his potentially final lap of this session.
Thomas Ronhar invalidates his lap.
Yeah, invalidated at the end.
And the next one as well. So a bit of a complicated situation for the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, so he got this and next lap invalidated, so I believe he still has time to go out there, but that surely throws a spanner on his ambitions, because he's probably going to have to either get a new set of tires, which I'm not sure if that was his plan, or just risk getting eliminated by being on suboptimal tires. So that's going to be a tricky one for the Milton Keynes driver. In the meantime, we have Pablo Armengol is about to close a lap. Not sure if he's on a flying one though. Yes, he is. He's not going to the pit, so he's trying to get himself in the top 10. Surely, and he gets himself 9th place for now. Of course, only the bottom 5 get eliminated at the end of this Q1. And we have Darn also about to wrap up the second sector. But before that, we have Jan Fehler. So let's see what the Haas driver does. It currently is in a safe spot, but of course can't rest on his laurels too much. Gets himself a 1 place improvement, 1:8.849. The times are getting quite compact though, through that 11th to P17 spots. Things are quite close between these drivers.
I'm quite curious to see where Istvan Pukki is going to jump to. He's he took more than 3/10 of his previous lap on the first two sectors. So let's see, finishing the third sector and jumping to P7, 18585. Good time for the McLaren driver so far.
Exactly, so that might see him through. I'm not sure if he's going to have time to go for another attempt. Samuel Bean pulls off into the pits as he went on a second attempt on his mediums actually, so 1.8.7 is the best he could muster out of that.
That might be interesting for the race, for the strategy.
Yeah, of course they are going to be starting on the tires they get through from Q2 to Q3, but so let's see how many drivers will try to get into Q3 on the mediums. With such a compact field, I'm not sure there's going to be a possibility for many of them. But we do have Nardi Perez at the moment just starting his last flying lap. We're going to have to take a look and try to figure out if he is improving at all at the end of the second sector. He gets to turns 8 and 9 smoothly. Oh, but he lifts off. So, not sure exactly what happened there, as Alessio Di Capua is satisfied with his performance so far. But yeah, the Williams driver has aborted his attempt. So, not satisfied with that one for him.
Yeah, he did not invalidate his lap, so it was by choice. Meanwhile, two drivers already retiring from this session, Iker and Alessio Di Capo. Sorry. And meanwhile, Alessio Di Capo's teammate was the first one of this train of cars that was starting their final attempt. Dario Iemolo approaching the end of the first sector, and so far taking more than 1/10 of his best lap until now.
No, but he's... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he's having to navigate through a little bit of traffic. Let's see if he loses much time here or if he can pull it off. Arriving at the end of the second sector, we'll be able to see, yeah, he lost half of his advantage. This might put him in a difficult position coming the end of the Q1. So far he's P9, but I believe most of the competitors will improve their time so far.
Yeah, so going to have to wait and see. He's on a third lap on that set of softs, so let's see if he's actually going to complete the lap. Yes, he is going for it. He was improving at the end of the first sector, so let's see what he does, and he improves to P6. So that's good news for him. In the meantime, Napadovsky grabs himself P9, and we have El Rookie, Yaiza El Rookie, getting himself through the last corner, trying to improve on that P17, getting out of the danger zone, but he's not quite able to pull it off. And now it's all about the Red Bull drivers, Thomas Ronhar and Marcus Stoll, as they are getting themselves both through the last sector. Thomas can't grab a lap time just yet, and Marcus aborts his attempt. So I believe Thomas managed to still start a last attempt, and looks like just in the nick of it, because he was saving the battery for the last run, and yeah, he just timed it quite well. In the meantime,
he might have to navigate through some bots at this moment, though, so he might have his life a little bit more complicated than he needed. He also needs to keep it safe, as at the same time he knows he has no margin for error. But I mean, at this level, these drivers, they are more than used
to and Samuel Bean, sorry to interrupt, but goes on provisory pole. He swapped from the medium tires to the softs. Maybe he felt like it was too close for comfort, and he grabs provisory pole. Sven Zerner coming through now for hopefully an improvement of his own. In the meantime, Thomas Ronhar is getting himself P14. Armingol also gets through the lap, into the pit lane. Yeah, but he's through.
Ruben, he's through, because Nardi Perez invalidated his lap.
Oh, okay, so yeah, that was close, but Ronhar just gets by. Very, very close stuff, as you can see. Less than about half a tenth separating Darn from Ron Harris, I believe it's Darn, Failer, Nardi Perez, Yaiza, Marcus, and Vitsaniemi out in Q1, right, Trona?
No, Darn still passes.
Darn
Top
still gets
15.
through? Okay,
Yeah, only
okay,
from
okay.
the 16 and down.
Okay. So I was counting one more than I should. Okay, apologize for that. In the meantime, while we're getting the wait for the results, do we have anything from our chat, Trona?
Some people supporting Luca and El Rookie.
Okay, so showing their support for Rookie, who unfortunately wasn't able to get through to Q2. It's going to be now a 15 driver affair from here on in. But the Spaniards, Samuel Bean and Iker Bena, very, very close indeed at those last stages of the qualifying session. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because now the Aston Martin driver doesn't have, Samuel Bean doesn't have a set of mediums, I believe, for Q2. So I don't. I think he's betting on an attempt for Q3 only on the soft tires. I'm not sure if he has mediums.
I think most of our drivers will go for the soft tire in the beginning of the race, leaving the medium for a later part of the race. Let's see if which of us is right. You talking about the mediums might show up as well. But I think most of them will try to go for the soft tire. So far it is the case. Let's see.
Yeah, I do believe that someone will at least attempt to qualify on the mediums. But of course only time can tell.
On the mediums?
What?
What would your strategy be starting on mediums?
Medium, soft, or yeah, I think the drivers can pull off a medium, soft. I think they can. So just get the hardest tire out of the way. Maybe even benefit from a free pit stop if there's any safety cars. So yeah, if anyone can get into Q3 on the mediums, I believe they could be in an advantageous position. So we already have some action on the track as Manolo Villar gets himself to be the first driver out there on the track at the moment. And you are going to have to wait and see what he can achieve.
I'm still thinking about your strategy. I mean, if you go on the mediums on the beginning of the race and there is an early safety car, you'll still have to do 2 stints on the mediums.
You think so? I'm not talking about an early safety car. I'm talking about a safety car on the pit window for the mediums.
For your strategy.
Right? Right? It would be quite the perfect timing for it to happen, yes, but I mean, it is surely possible. But maybe yes, some driver is hoping for a safety car, because especially when we get drivers who haven't pitted yet getting caught up by drivers who are on fresher, faster tires, things can get messy, and maybe some driver is trying to take advantage of that. But
look at Samovin's tires.
He's on the mediums, so he has, I believe that is the same set of mediums he already put 2 laps on in Q1 though. I do believe that if he would try to qualify into Q3 on the mediums, he wouldn't be using them as the first lap, he would be using them as the last lap of Q2 to take advantage of the perfect or the more advantageous conditions on the track in terms of grip. So I think the drivers on the medium tires this early on in Q2 are not planning on qualifying on the yellow marked tires, but making his intentions quite clear at the moment is Manolo Villar. He did have quite a lockup into the hairpin, probably not ideal for his aspirations. Nonetheless, he is coming through the line, 1:08.4, and right behind him is the Spaniard Ikerbane gets himself the lap. Alessio Di Capo is about to start a lap of his own, and behind him is Van Puki. No, it's his teammate Sven Zerner, who just started a lap of his own. I thought he got his one invalidated there for a second. Daniel Haddad gets himself P3. His teammate Samuel Bean invalidated his lap. He's coming through the checkered flag now, but he did invalidate his lap. And behind him, we have one of the Mercedes. I believe that is Patrick. Yes, it is Patrick, who has already aborted his attempt. He got his first one invalidated. And now we have Darn about to start a lap of his own. He's on the medium tires, the number 84. So also saving the soft tires for the last few chances of a flying lap later on the session. And the lap times are starting to sprinkle the leaderboards. And Alessio Di Capo is going to be the next entry to it. Who was we have there? I believe that was Zerner, getting himself quite intimate with the wall, narrowly avoiding it. But yeah, Capo went on the brakes right before the crossing the finishing line, so 111.1 for him. And as he goes on the brakes, Alessio might be trying to qualify on the mediums, Rana.
Yeah, some drivers aborting their first laps as well, going straight to the pits. Maybe changing their minds about the strategy. But yeah, Darn that had invalidated his previous lap, he's now finishing his own fast attempt on the medium compound, and he crosses the line and goes so far only for P7. It seems to me that it won't be quite enough to pass to Q3, but let's see if he tries another attempt on these tires or changes strategy for the softs.
Istvan Puki gets into the pits after his first few attempts. Sven Zerner, not sure if he's actually going to the pits or not. I believe that was one of the AlphaTauris, as we could see in background, getting into the pits. The McLaren follows him. And now we have, I believe it's Samuel Bean, who is on his third lap, but he's not even opening the RS. He's actually causing yellow flags as he's slowing down. Maybe he has run out of fuel, unfortunately for him. So he's limping back onto his garage. Domenico Lovece is about to start his lap, and behind him, I believe that is Patrick. Yes, it is Patrick, because if that was someone on a flying lap, that would have been a bit of a sticky situation there for Lovece. So
we only had two drivers on a flying lap. It was Pablo Armengol who invalidated, and Dario Yemulo who is on the second sector.
Okay, Yemulo, oh, he aborted.
Yeah, he did.
He aborted as well. So lifts off the throttle. So we're going to follow with the other, another Italian driver, Domenico Lovece, representing Ferrari here, the number 29, and we can go on board with him as he closes up the first sector. And it is quite a fast one, I believe, despite being on the mediums. Let's see how he gets through, which lap time he can achieve at the end of the second sector. Looks like he's going in for a 40.8 at the end of the second sector. And let's see, can he get himself in those mids to low 1.8 like Baena and Villar and Haddad? Things are getting quite close there in that top 5. 210 separating the first 5 drivers. And Lovece, despite being on the mediums, a bit of counter steer out of that last chicane, is coming over the line, gets himself P6. 1/10 almost exactly behind the McLaren. He actually splits the McLarens at the moment. Thomas Ronhard is in the first sector, but in the meantime we have Armengol going for his second attempt on the mediums, grabs himself P8 runner.
Yeah, a second attempt from the Spanish driver. Had a few issues, I think, on his final chicane, but enough for P8 so far. As I mentioned about Darn, the same goes for Armengol. Seems a bit tight for a guaranteed qualification.
Oh, and Daniel Haddad gets himself pulled with a 1.8.1. Darole Mulo not too far behind though, 1.8.3, gets himself on the second lap on the softs, but grabs himself a second spot on the grid so far. Ron Hard got himself P8. And let's see how easily he can breathe after that one. That was a promising lap considering it was on the mediums, so he can potentially reach much better lap times if he goes on the soft, so maybe that's his plan. But that is a pretty decent lap for the mediums. And we have Istvan Puki at the moment.
Yeah, taking a lot of time from his previous lap.
Exactly. So let's see what he can do. He's coming over the line, and it is P6 for him. Very close, so narrowing the gap there between that P1 and P9 now. But we still have more action on the track. Samuel Bean is about to wrap up one of his laps. And after that, we have Sven Zerner. Samuel Bean with P10. Zerner in the McLaren is going to...
A bit of a contact there on the exit of the chicane. It's up enough to go up to P5. He also had the opportunity to get a bit of a tow, not willingly given by the AlphaTauri, of course, but he was there. Sven used it and was able to move up to P5.
Okay, so in the meantime, we have the Alpine going into the pits. We have Sven Zerner, who probably is going to the pits, as well as Istvan Puki. Iker Baena just starting a lap of his own, and right behind him, Darn goes into the pits. So I don't think there is any driver at the moment on a flying lap. Maybe Alessio Di Capua, who aborted his first attempt, is now on a set of mediums. Now he goes straight into the pit lane. So it's the Mercedes driver at the moment who is on a flying lap. Samuel Bean was also on a second attempt on that set of tires, but he went into the pits. So he just grabbed that 10th spot and decided to call it quits for that set of tires. He still has time to try to get himself out of the danger zone. But at the moment, things are a bit tighter for Pablo Armengol in the Williams.
What a lap by Iker Baena, ending up the second sector and taking time from his previous lap. Sorry, he was already in P3, so let's see if he can guarantee the racebook strategies, I will call it from now on, which is to qualify on mediums in Canada.
Let's see what Iker Baena does. Can he grab himself pole? No, but not too short of it. 0.8249. So quite a lap there from Iker Baena. Great stuff from him. And looking further back the order, Manolo Villar is on an outlap at the moment. I believe it's actually Armengol, the first out of this group of drivers to be on his outlap. Is that correct? No, it's actually Flory Weers, as he's warming up his tires, and he's going to be the first out of this next group of drivers who are currently wrapping up their outlaps. Let's see what they can achieve. So, of course, he's in a little bit of a easier situation, if I can call it that, compared to some of his rivals. Currently P6, but of course he certainly has the pressure to not mess up this lap. He has done a good job so far to keep himself out of the danger zone, but you never know what time can his rivals find. All of them pretty quick at this stage. Darn also started his flying lap. Is going to be the next one to wrap things up after the man we have on our monitors. Manolo Villar in the meantime wraps up the first sector about a tenth slower than his previous best. So Manolo Villar needs to find something in the second sector, but his teammate at the moment
invalidates Ruben.
Oh,
Manolo invalidates his attempt.
Oh, that could prove costly. Let's see. First things first. Flory is coming through the line in a few moments' time. And he's coming over the line right now, and he actually beats his teammate by over a tenth, just over a tenth. Now Darn in P12 trying to get out of the danger zone. What can he do?
He was taking more than 3 tenths when he finished the second sector. He needs to take at least 4 tenths to get to Samuel Bean. He crosses the line, but he doesn't
Improve by enough.
Yeah, he invalidated his lap. He invalidated his lap on the last chicane. Unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo driver. While we have some other drivers finishing their attempts, Domenico Lovecchi is the next one, and he jumps to P4.
Yeah, exactly. He jumps to P4. Very nicely done from him. Isvan Puki just started a lap of his own. And we have Samuel Bean grabbing himself 4th spot. Just 0.02 of a second faster than Lovecchi. And 0.03 of a second slower than Yamulo. But looking further back, we have Kruit. Yeah, Krutwik. He grabs himself P2. On the softs, very close to the lap time achieved by Daniele Haddad. And now I believe it's Thomas Ronhard in P12 currently. Another one of the drivers trying their hardest to not be eliminated. What can he achieve at the end of this lap? Gets himself P4. Manolo trying to improve. Second lap of asking, and he does get things done. P5 from him. Pretty good lap considering he had to do an extra attempt on that set of softs. And looking further back, we have now Istvan Puki, who is currently closing his lap. His teammate is already out of the qualifying session, but Puki throws Armengol into the elimination zone, and Armengol does not have time to improve on that. He's also out. Alessio Di Capua in P15. Can he get himself out of it? And he does. P3 for him with a 108.218. Grabs himself 3rd spot. Samuel Bean is still in the danger zone, but he's slowing down. And I believe Thomas Ronald would be the next one to close his lap, but I believe he has no need for that. Surely he has some sort of race engineer informing him of that. And yeah, looks like this is it for Q2. And we have Weers, Armengol, Zerner, Napadovsky, and Darn out in Q2. Some pretty clutch performances by Villar, who had to make an extra lap on those softs. Might put him at a bit of a disadvantage into the start of the race. And Alessio Di Capua from P15, I believe that was actually his only lap, confirm if I am correct or not. I believe that was actually his only lap of this Q2. Alessio Di Capua jumps right from last place into P3, gets himself out of the danger zone. Domenico Lovecchi is quite narrowly getting through to Q3.
Patrick showing you why he's one of the finest. His only attempt, he doesn't just go for the qualification, he goes for the top, misses it by quite a small margin, but it's still qualified for qualifying 3. So let's see what he can do when the fight for pole is on, and it will be shortly.
Yeah, it will be shortly indeed. So let's see what the drivers can achieve for the shootouts. Hikarbena goes on the so-called racebook strategy. Thank you, Joanna, for that one. And he qualifies on the mediums. He's going to start the race on the mediums. Pretty darn good lap from him on those mediums. And he wasn't that far off of the best lap of the session. So unless the competition has another gear to find in Q3, Hikarbena for me is a contender for pole position. So
someone in our chat was describing, and I quite agree, it's a good description, that Hikarbena does faster time than me in TT with softs.
Well, that's about what 95% of everyone who plays this game, I'm sure, can relate with that sentence. And the drivers have no chill at the moment as they go out there right away. And Dario Lemulo is the first one to get his rubber to contact the asphalt of the racing surface. But we're still going to have to wait for it.
We had a race coming out of the pit lane.
Yeah, we actually did. I couldn't quite catch it. Apologize for this pause menu, but I assure you it will be short. Had to do something. Apologize for that. Dario Lemulo is going to be the first one to start, and we're actually going to go on board with him as he gets ourselves on a lap of this circuit. Gil Villeneuve gets himself up to speed, and now he just needs to nail these last few corners just to maximize the exit speed into the start-finish straight. Let's see how it goes. The DRS wide open at the back of that AlphaTauri, and the number 28 just starts his first lap. Hard on the brakes into turn number 1. Turn number 2 approaches quite quickly. You need to be smooth on the power. Going uphill through the gears. And now reverting the process downhill for another chicane of turns 3 and 4. Another sweeping right-hander comes, and now the end of the first sector with a heavy braking zone into turn 6. Smooth on the power as you go over the curb for turn number 7. The DRS wide open for the second time at the back of the AlphaTauri. And now hard on the brakes, about nearing the bridge for turns 8 and 9. Now just waiting for about 100 meters away from turn number 10 as he wraps up sector number 2. Gets nicely on the brakes, good on the power at the exit as well. Up through the gears, DRS wide open as he got himself through the kinks of turns 11 and 12. And now hard on the brakes for turns 13 and 14. He grabs himself some nice curbs there, and he's crossing over the line to get himself an invalidated lap, right, Gaunt? That just invalidated.
Yeah, right behind him, Samuel been crossing the line and getting hit the first time on the timesheet, but a bad start for AlphaTauri with Dario invalidating his lap and Alessio Di Capo ending his qualifying session right in the first sector. I think it was right here where Samuel Bin was passing, closing to the end of the first sector, in the exit of the first chicane, going to the wall, I believe, and finishing his qualifying session. From now, we have Domenico Lovetti on provisional pool with 174. Let's see what the other drivers can answer to the Ferrari driver.
Yeah, in the meantime, I know why the drivers were in such a rush out of pit lane, because the clouds are quite threatening. Maybe we have some rain incoming, and that's why everyone is in a rush to get their lap times out on the board. Manolo Villar invalidated his first attempt, another big lockup. We saw him do the same in Q2, another big lockup, quite punishing for that front right tire, but he still manages to get through the hairpin of turn 10 quite nicely. Up through the gears, he missed his marks on the first time of asking. Let's go about the second one. He grabs himself the curbs, gets nicely on the power, comes over the line, and he gets P6 though. Still doesn't move on the position on the standings. 186.20. He did lose a bit of performance from that lockup and the tire wear, surely. Icarbena just getting himself close to Istvan Pucci and Manolo Villar, as the McLaren and the Mercedes are on their out laps.
Pits, racing again, Ruben. They raced again. Exiting the pits. It seems like your theory might have some merit, and it would be quite the Canadian thing to happen. I mean, starting raining when you less expect it, it's just so Canada. We have two drivers coming back to the pits.
Yes,
drivers,
and it is raining. Sorry to interrupt you, but it is raining here at the Circuit Gil Villeneuve. We can see some drops of rain coming down the road. And will this be the end of the pole position aspirations for Icarbena and Istvan Pucci, Gaunt?
Yeah, Iker got his second position on mediums when everybody else was on softs. Let's see if he can get a pole position on softs when everybody else did it on a dry track.
Yeah, it's surely going to be affecting at least some tenths they are surely going to lose. But of course, we've seen Icarbena do that amazing lap on the mediums. Will it matter for him that it has started to rain? We will surely find out. Istvan Pukki, though, follows him closely. I'm not sure who, a bit of step out from the rear end coming there out of turn number 5, I believe that was. But yeah, the drivers are struggling to put the power down. You could see the rear of that Mercedes up ahead struggling a little bit to be planted. And Istvan Pukki, I don't know how much of a tow is getting and the benefit of a tow as compared to maybe the disadvantage of getting dirty air.
It's impossible, Racebug. It's impossible. He can at the exit of the airpin just has to go full opposite lock to not lose his Mercedes car. And yeah, I think he'll put the time because there are quite a few drivers yet with times to put on the table. But I don't think he will be fighting for any place near the pole position. He stays 7. Even Istvan Pukki gets a better time behind him. So maybe your tow theory might have some merit as well. You're getting them right today.
It was also I was on board. I knew you were on board with Baena, and I was on board with Pukki. And Pukki didn't make as many mistakes. He didn't have as many moments where the rear stepped out. So even without some kind of tow, he was already getting a faster lap. He was closing in on Baena throughout the lap. So yeah, 7 tenths. That was quite visible throughout the lap as we were on board with the McLaren. In the meantime, Samuel Bean goes out there. Maybe trying to give us a show. The DRS is disabled, but Dario Romulu beats his teammate though. He invalidated his first attempt, gets P9. Of course, there's always a bit of rivalry between each side of the garage. Samuel Bean couldn't improve on his 1.8.4, so he is just about 6 thousandths of his teammate, but Domenico Lovecchio looks like he is going to grab pole position for this Canadian Grand Prix, and it is Thomas Honard. So 2 drivers who maybe we would see them as struggling to get through. Thomas Honard, I believe he got through to Q2 by being P14, and then he was Domenico Lovecchio was P10 at the end of Q2. So drivers that maybe could be considered as struggling to get through, they actually found themselves in the right place at the right time and get themselves the first 2 spots on the grid. Even Patrick Crate got himself a nice spot in P3. He does have those 2 Silverstone built machines right behind him for the start of the Grand Prix. I believe we are just waiting for the drivers to retire. I'm not sure in the remaining 3 minutes we are going to have any sort of positive progress in the any positive progress on the climate conditions. And yeah, we are just waiting on Patrick to retire from the session, and then it is official. Domenico Lovecchio with pole position. Icarbena, he tried his best to give himself that reverse strategy, but unfortunately he's going to have a bit more work to do than he probably expected starting from P8. The 2 AlphaTauris might be able to pull something off. They could work together since they are together on the grid. They could at least work as a team to not get overtaken at the start. But other than that, Gaunt, what do you think about the prospects for the beginning of this Grand Prix?
I was just analyzing that I mentioned that both AlphaTauris and both Aston Martins had been on the top 10 at the end of the race in China, and they're both on the top 10 beginning this race, as is as they are both Mercedes drivers. So let's see if there is a bit of team play here, or is every man for himself.
Yeah. Also, looking at Chatrana, do you anything to point out?
Not much. I think our chat is eagerly awaiting for Patrick to retire from this qualifying session, so we can go ahead for our race.
Yeah, so turns out I don't think any of our predictions were correct this time around. So unfortunately, I was actually confident on my bets on the Aston Martins, especially after I saw Samuel Bean and Daniel Haddad top the sheets at the end of Q1 and Q2. Of course, Icarbena looked like he was the strongest man on the track, but the weather played some tricks on all of these drivers' prospects and threw them further down the order. And we are going to get ourselves into the race, just waiting a few moments for the loading procedures. Then we are going to have the drivers get themselves together and do some last minute adjustments to the setups or to the race strategy. And the skies don't look too threatening, a few dark clouds here and there, but overall perfect conditions for the start of a great Grand Prix, Joanna.
I think so. Let's hope it is. Our drivers probably tuning in some tire pressure or minor front wing adjustments, because there's not much you can do to the setup after you are in Perk Ferme, which they are since the start of Q1. So that's a strategy which should be already defined, and let's start this race.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one to follow. Of course, there's always the possibility of a few safety cars. Of course, no driver at this level wants to be the one backing out from a scrap, but sometimes there is the possibility of going over the limit, especially in these first few corners. The twistiness and tightness of these circuits does lead to some incidents throughout the years in both virtual and real life Grand Prix. So doesn't matter how experienced you are, Canada might bite you in the rear end one of these days. So hopefully everyone gets through this first lap in one piece. And we are getting started for our formation lap. And most drivers outside of the top 10 opting to start on the yellow tires. Apart from Jan Fehler, Indy Haas is the only one starting on softs, Joanna.
Curious to see what Feller can do with his alternate strategy comparing to the others around him. The graphics say soft medium medium or soft hard medium. I doubt anyone's going for the soft hard medium. More likely for the soft medium soft, or the medium soft soft in the situation of those down from P11 and Iker Bayen, of course, with his fantastic lap on qualifying 2 that got him a start inside the top 10 with the medium compound.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of race pace can Iker put in these first stages of the race. Jan Fehler maybe trying to scrap himself a few spots on the pecking order, trying to maximize the grip advantage on those softs compared to everyone around him on the mediums. It looks like he's going to go aggressive on these starts, hopefully measured aggression. But yeah, maybe it pans out well for him. Of course, it is quite the short run from the grid positions into the braking zone of turn 1, so you really need to have a catastrophic start procedure to drop out massively. So a little bit more lenient on that matter, this racetrack, but of course then everyone is going to be trying to move up as many places as possible, and at this level there is really no one who likes to back down. So we have Vitsaniemi currently getting himself on the grid. Sorry about that. Yeah, here he is, Vitsaniemi in the Alfa Romeo, and he is the last driver to get himself on his designated grid slot. And in a few moments we are going to get signal from race control to light them up And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out. And away we go for the Canadian Grand Prix. Domenico Lovecchio with a great start. Runner and Daniel Yava back to back, battling with his teammate. And the Mercedes of Patrick Kratos going around the outside of turn number 3. Samuel Bean has to contend with Manolo Villar. Iker Bain at the back. Moves up a place from Dario Lemulo. Alessio Di Capua gets himself, he maintains P10. But Lemulo gets in a scrap with P8 of Istvan Pukidia still side by side at the end of the first sector as they get themselves through the corners number 6 and 7, and there's a crash. They're both in a row and there is a pile up. Multiple cars come together and they are out of this Grand Prix. Jan Feller is out, Nardi Perez and Pablo Armengol. Disastrous race start for the Williams drivers as they are both out of this race. They had absolutely nowhere to go after that crash between it was Pookie and Lemulo, who were trying to get themselves that 8th place on the grid, and Joanna, calamity struck upon some of these drivers, but the safety car is deployed, so not everything is lost for those who are showing some war signs on their machines at the moment. They are going to be able to get those back up and healthy for the remainder of the race. But we have a few leaders who decided to go into the pits early, Joanna.
Yeah, only Domenico, Samuel and Manolo decided to stay out on the softs. The rest decided to pit. Some of the medium compound drivers also decided to pit, maybe perhaps with some damage. I was following with the rear of the grid, and by the time they got there, it was cars to the wall on the right, cars to the wall on the left, and just some of them even ghosting. So they managed to survive. Only 3, as it could be quite more from such a huge crash out so far. And the third Aston Martin, if you may say this way, on track for, I believe, around 3 laps.
Marcus Stoll and Yanni Vitsaniemi somehow, miraculously, it's like that big one at the Cars movie, right? They must have felt like that because they went right through all that carnage and managed to grab 5 places each. So they're probably happy with how things turned out for them. Yaza got himself 11 spots in P7, and Iker Ben might be in a quite comfortable position at the moment because he is the leading driver out of those on the mediums, and he only has 1 lap older tires. I mean, he did qualify on those, so he has 2 to 3 laps older tires compared to everyone else on the mediums. But let's see, he now has less of position in front of him, so it's going to be interesting to see how that one pans out. Domenico Lovecchio and the other 2 drivers in the top 3 do have their work cut out for them because they need to maximize these softs, and this safety car period just narrows the margin that they have for those tires to be in optimal condition for them to try to pull away from the medium runners.
Meanwhile, Yanni Vitsaniemi, the only driver in the back of the grid with the soft compound, decided to pit, go for the medium tire as well, following his fellow drivers' strategy and swapping for the medium. That cost him 2 positions, but he will be back to the grid shortly while we are still in the safety car.
Yeah, exactly. So at the front, things quite peaceful for Lovecchio, still controlling operations at the moment. The safety car will be going back into the pits at the end of this lap. So we're going to go on board with Samuel Bean, and we are going to try and see his reaction to the restart. Just waiting for the drivers to stop their zigzagging. Of course, they're trying to warm up their tires for as long as possible, but let's see, when will Domenico Lovecchio get going? And he does right away. Samuel Bean does lose quite a few car lengths to him. Iker Bene is right on the back of Manolo Villar as we get started with lap number 4 of this Canadian Grand Prix. Is Slovakia from Bean, from Villar, from Bain, and Napadovsky in P5, Darn in P6, Jaiza in P7, Ronhard in P8, Kruit in P9, and Daniel Haddad closes the top 10. And looks like everyone much better behaved as they approach, as they negotiate these first few sets of corners on this restart.
Yeah, no two cars side by side this time around, all in a single line, and it turns out to be very much better of a start. So far, they're all in the DRS margin for the in a few laps. When it comes up, I believe they'll say it this way. While Ron Har has a pick at the rookie,
Yes.
and he manages to pass him in the hairpin. Let's see if there is going to be a fight back from the Spanish driver, or if the Red Bull driver will be able to keep it, to keep the P7 that he managed to grab.
In the meantime, Svensson getting mighty close to Riaz at the end of this lap, decides to back out from any sort of overtaking attempt. In the meantime, we have the Mercedes of Patrick trying to overtake the Ferrari, and yes he does, sends it down the inside, manages to keep it together on the other side of it, and grabs up 8 spots. So we have Jaiza struggling a little bit in these early stages of this race.
Yeah, but the race is long. It's 35 laps around the Circuit de Montreal. So, well, Circuit of Jacques and Gilles Villeneuve, to be honest, but it's in Montreal. So let's see. We have Daniele Haddad as the probably the next one to try to attack El Rookie. He's quite close. El Rookie having his rear shaking a bit at the exit of the second chicane and down to the hairpin, but Daniele Haddad playing it safe. Trying to get a better exit. El Rookie goes a bit wider than Haddad, and Haddad just manages to get out of the hairpin really close to the Ferrari driver, who has a very good vision from this. Is Alessio Di Capo, who is now the car behind El Rookie. And in the meanwhile, both Thomas Ronhard, the first one to pass him, is already fighting for another position, passing Darn in the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, exactly. So he grabs himself P6. Great comeback after, of course, he did qualify well, but he's proving that his race pace is up to par with his qualifying performance, as he already made quite a few moves early on this race to grab himself P6, and Darn goes for a spin! Darn goes for a spin, and he needs to rejoin safely. He goes back to P17, and that's awful luck for the Alfa Romeo boys this afternoon. Both of them finding themselves at the back of the pack. The other Italian brands, though, the other two Italian brands are going at it into the hairpin of turn number 10. Alessio Di Capo with a bit of a lockup on the front right, coming into turn number 10, but Capo does get the move done. Now we have the 11th place. Flori Riaz win in the Alpine. DRS wide open now for most of these drivers as they approach this last chicane. He does get a better exit, and the Ferrari is going to pull himself alongside the Maranello based machine. He gets inside of turn 1 and he grabs himself 10 spots, and I believe Jaiza has lost already 5 spots since the restart.
Look at Sven.
Yes, Sven Zerner also got the best of him into turn number 4, so he's really struggling. Does he have that? Maybe his front wing isn't damaged. Could he possibly have side pod damage, floor damage? He's dropping like a stone. Istvan Pukki is going to be the next contender, and he gets the place from the Ferrari driver, and he's really struggling. Something is completely off with that Ferrari number 21. Because I'm pretty sure that's just not his pace. He must have damage on that Ferrari.
Well, if he didn't, I'm pretty sure he has, after the pass from Marcus Toll, a bit of a contact there. but both drivers managed to keep their cars pointing the right way. Although El Rookie loses a bit of position, quite a few positions, he is now only in front of both Alfa Romeos. While Darn had spun, Vitsaniemi, who was already in last place,
Sorry
grabs
to
a penalty.
interrupt you, but we have Icar Bena challenging for P3. Manolo Villar gets inside of turn 1, gets outside of turn 2. He goes earlier on the power. Manolo Villar, what can he do to stop him? Nothing. And Bena grabs up P3. Brilliant maneuver there from him. Pretty well managed from Villar as well. Pretty, great respect from each side of that overtaking attempt. And now it's Napadovsky pressurizing the Alpine at the end of this DRS zone in sector number 2. And is really closing into the back of that Alpine, who's lost quite a few car lengths already to Icar Bena and the remainder of the top 3.
He's quite close to losing the DRS to the car in front. I'm not sure if he managed to grab it this time or not. It was right in the verge of losing it. Meanwhile, Sven Zerner going to pass Floris.
Sorry, Napadovsky touches! Napadovsky and Honor touch, and there's a crash! Napadovsky, who is now dropping like a stone, is parked. Fortunately, it wasn't terminal damage, but Napadovsky and Villar tried to share that last chicane, and there was too much race car for too little racing surface, and they came together.
Thanks to that, Flori Fires, who had just lost his position to Sven Zerner, lost it as well to Daru Yemulu, who had time to realize the cars were ghosted and did not have to pull off the throttle, as I believe Floris did. So it's down to P11 for the Alpine driver, up to P10 for the AlphaTauri driver.
Now, in the meantime, Samuel Bain has been pressurizing Lovece for quite a few laps now since the restart, but crucially for their opponents, these two aren't really being able to pull away from especially Baena, despite having softer tires. So, bit of a tricky situation, and Lovece pulls off into the pit.
Time for the stop. Manolo had already lost one position, so maybe it's a sign that the softs are losing their pace a bit, while Sven Zerner gets the fastest lap. They've been showering us with the fastest lap every single lap. It's his turn, but Thomas Ronhar, already in P4 and quite close to Manolo, seems to be the next one trying to pass the driver that is still on the softer compound.
Exactly. In the meantime, we had the swap from Istvan Puki and Marcus Stoll. He still grabbed 7 spots compared to his qualifying position, but he did lose that 11th place to the McLaren, who is now making a move on the Alpine with DRS assistance, and he does get the last of the top 10 spots. Ooh, he did get a bit sideways there, coming out of turn number 8. Sorry, turn number 9. Ooh, there's contact. Marcus Stoll locking up the front right tire, and now he also almost lost it under power application. His teammates pressurizing Manolo Villar. Let's see how that one goes. For the lead, Icar Bena is also pressurizing Samuel Bean, but he's not going to pull the trigger on it, or is he? No, he is not. He refrains from a maneuver, sorry, and Marcus Stoll looks on the outside of Flori Rias. There's contact between both of them, but looks like no harm done. The Alpine maintains 11th place for now. Istvan Puki takes advantage of the situation, already pulled off a few car lengths on the duo that we are seeing on our monitors. If that wasn't contact, that was mighty close to being contact there between the front tire of the Red Bull and the rear of the Alpine. The RS is wide open for both machines as they are closing to wrapping up sector number 2. Further ahead, we have Ronald Owen. Flori lifting off. He wants the RS from the Red Bull other than the other way around.
attacking Samuel Bin for the lead of the race, and it's quite easily done, especially considering the difference of tire compound. Samuel Bin stays out of the track, but Manolo Villar decided to pit. Quite a few movements going on the front of the race.
Villar's grabs what is now a 10th place back from a toll, but he did exceed the track limits at the last chicane, so he gets penalized for that one. Domenico Lovecchio with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, as he has pretty much clean air ahead of him, so and the freshest tires of the field, apart from now Villar, who just pulled off into the pits. But now Ronhard is at the moment pressurizing Samuel Bin, who's starting to surely show some signs of struggle with those worn out softs. Let's not forget, he's on this 12th lap of those, and he used them in qualifying. On hard though, it's not the first time we see him go sideways on the power application coming out of the turn 10 hairpin, but doesn't look like anything is going to come from it. His teammate though is on the chase.
It's been quite an interesting battle. There has been some contact between Flores and Marcos as well on the previous chicane, but both drivers managing to grab the car before they hit the wall, and so far no change of position between those two.
Exactly, so Marcos still pressurizing the Alpine of Florio Villas, but nothing to come of it from now. We do have now Patrick Kreutz pressurizing Thomas Ronhard for P3, and by extension pressurizing Samuel Bin, who is doing a great job of maintaining a respectable pace on those softs, considering everybody else around him is, yes, on harder tires, but much fresher tires at this point.
Meanwhile, Viers losing 2 positions to Marcos and El Ruki. I'm not sure what happened with the Red Bull, if there was some contact or not. Meanwhile, Marcos losing it a bit on the exit of the hairpin, and that's the last thing he needed. El Ruki is quite close to him on the exit to the straight, and he will probably be able, let's see if he does. He moves to the inside, and he manages just to pass Marcus Toll before the hairpin. Maybe some collaboration from the Red Bull driver, who decided not to share the chicane, as he has seen this might not work as well for another drivers, and trying not to test his luck tonight.
Yeah, exactly. In the meantime, we had Manolo Villar get past Darn. Manolo Villar pitted recently and is trying to make his way back up the field. He did lose about 2.5 seconds to Domenico Lovecchio, who by now has reached the rear of the Red Bull of Marcos Stoll, so he's going to be entering that battle with Marcos and Flori, and that might get a bit dicey for Domenico. Let's see how that one goes. We are going now on board with the Ferrari driver, and he's using quite a bit of overtake mode, I could see on his steering wheel, and this is a bit of a train, but his teammate, I'm not sure if this is studied or not.
Marcos spins.
Yeah, exactly. He spins at turn 10, and that's going to be costly for him. Domenico Lovecchio had to lift off due to that, and now Yaisa is pressurized by the Alpine. Does get the move done up to P9, and now I believe he won't prove too much of an hindrance to his teammate. Domenico Lovecchio pulls himself back into the points paying positions, and Flori does the same. So just recognizing they are on different strategies, and he was also penalized, so isn't also any sort of hindrance. What?
Not sure if you noticed, he moved to the left to let Domenico pass, but when he returned to the racing line, there was a bit of a contact with the other Ferrari. Okay. So let's hope that El Ruki didn't pick up any damage. But quite a few penalties already for Flores and for Marcos on this race. They might reflect a bit at the end of the race.
Yeah, of course. Surely this track doesn't give much margin for error, and when you are trying to battle for position and share corners, it's always difficult to not exceed the track limits. In the meantime, Ronhard takes the lead of the Grand Prix easily done with the DRS assisted pass, but they are going almost 3 wide there as Patrick Crate is going to try to take advantage of his teammates' lack of DRS. He goes on the inside, converts to the outside, can't quite replicate the maneuver that Diana pulled off on Villar earlier on in the race. Daniel Haddad though takes advantage of this to get himself mighty close to the rear of the pair of Mercedes, and the top 5 is this top 7 is very close at the moment.
This is a bit the opposite of real life. Ferrari working together and the Mercedes fighting for position like the life depends on it. Interesting to see. But so far, well done by both Mercedes boys. Let's see if they work together to attack Thomas Ronhauer on this straight that's coming up, and if they both manage to pass the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, so let's see how that one goes. Sorry about that momentarily pause. Manolo Villar swaps position with Viers, and Gons might be some issue with the Alpine. He dropped 2 places in a short time span. Samuel Bean also got through the Alpine. Did you get that?
Didn't catch any of what happened with the cars you were mentioning. I'm following quite closely here the battle. There is now out of 4 cars for P1 because Daniel Haddad it's 3/10 of Patrick Ricci. So any mistake in the front can give him P1.
Yeah,
especially considering that Thomas has a penalty.
But you are on the cockpit. I know you are following the cockpit cam of Daniel Haddad. If you pull off of that one, you would see there's 7 cars scrapping it out for what seems to be the lead of the race. Ronhauer is in a bit of a disadvantaged position because he is penalized. So, but this is a mighty train going on at the moment. And we are going to wait and see what comes from this. What?
I had seen that there were other cars behind, but they're fighting a bit behind. So with Sven passing Dario, but Dario wanting to get the position back, and that might cost them a bit of time to the front.
In the meantime, a bit of contact!
Talking about a mistake!
Yeah, Lemulu had to abort. That was quite costly. I didn't see any carbon fiber flying, so I believe that wasn't too much of an hindrance to Lemulu's position or chances of maintaining the gap to this group, but that was a bit of a contact there with Sven Zerner, and hopefully no damage came from that. In the meantime, Yaisa is battling it out with Fleury for a P12 advantage for the Alpine driver at the moment, and we can see Istvan Puki is 16 laps old tires, just the same as Emulu, so their tire condition is relatively the same. But getting ourselves back to the front of the pack, and Ronan is doing a great job of holding everyone up, despite not having the arrest. He does have the penalty, but in terms of his on-race product, he's doing a great job today.
Without a doubt, and I think it was Krutic. Exactly. Patrick decided to pit, and behind him, Daniel Haddad making the same choice. Time for another medium compound for these drivers. So let's see. I'm not sure. They started on the soft tire, so let's see if they can pull it out until the end. I believe so. And let's see if the front guys will react or try to pull this one a bit longer and go for the softer compound.
Exactly. So a few drivers pulling off into the pits. Of course, Daniel Haddad and Kretel, of course, they're going to battle a little bit, surely, between them, but they do have clean air ahead of them, and this could be just what they need to get an advantage and overtake the cars around them.
Very crucially, they just managed to get away out of the pits ahead of Floris Viers and avoiding fighting with him and El Rukik that came right behind them, but they managed to pull away a bit with the softer compounds. Well, not softer, with the fresher compound, sorry. And yeah, they have almost 5 seconds ahead of them of free air. Let's see how fast they can get to Manolo Villar. Meanwhile, Thomas Ronhard decided to respond to the pit stops, and he pits to another set of mediums as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we have El Rookie pressurizing Fleury Villiers as we are about to start lap number 20 for the pair of cars. Who tries to have a look. Villiers pulls off to the middle of the track, so that's deterred the forward momentum from El Rookie, who decides to settle for P13 at the moment. Daniel Haddad.
Thomas managed to come out between those two who were fighting and lost a bit of time because of that. But Patrick crucially was able to pull ahead of the Red Bull driver and manages to grab onto what is now P10, but it's probably a fight for the lead. Meanwhile, Thomas' teammate Marcus gets another penalty. A difficult day for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Not panning out probably as he would have liked to this first race of the season. Ronard pressurizing as much as he can the two cars ahead of him, but they did pull off the undercut quite nicely on the Red Bull, and Ronard wasn't too much on contention unless anything happens to his direct rivals. He is going to try to still capitalize on any mistakes they might make, as he did get a better exit out of the last corner, but doesn't quite get anything from that. So he's going to have to follow in P10 for the time being. Back up to the front of the pack. Oh, sorry, at the back we have a battle between Rookie. Great maneuver there from Rookie around the outside of what seemed to be corner number 4 and 5, that combination of corners 4 and 5. And it's a downhill, but him on the outside manages to go around the outside of corner number 3 and gets the overtaking maneuver done on the exit of turn 4. So yeah, great job overall from the Ferrari driver. He is going to be vulnerable to the DRS assisted Alpine right behind him though.
Meanwhile, Alessio managing to pass Iker Baena for the lead of the race. Sven Turner quite close to the Mercedes driver. Let's see if he just stays in P3 or tries to attack the driver from Brackley.
Easton Puck in the meantime also went into the pits, but he opted to go on the soft, so he's going on about 13 laps on the softs. And I believe that's also what the other drivers are trying to do. This group in the top 5 currently, in this top 4 currently, I believe they're actually going to try to go on the softs for the end of the race. Potentially try to hold these tires until the end of the race. Let's not forget some of these drivers pitted at the end of lap 1 following that massive collision that brought out the safety car. So I'm really not sure if these drivers can go all the way until the end. So I'm betting all 4 of them are going to pit soon for a set of soft tires, but they did grab a little bit of a cushion. Let's not forget Domenico Lovece was the first of the leaders to make his pit stop and is currently 4.5 seconds off of this group. Alessio Di Capua bites the bullet first, pulls off into the pits, Joanna.
I'm quite curious to see what Samuel Bean will do. He has now 9 laps on these mediums. I think if he wants, he can take them to the end, but it might prove to be a bit risky. Let's see what the Aston Martin driver decides to do. In the front, Iker got his first penalty of the race, and this might complicate a bit his final classification because he started on these medium tires. I think he'll try to do the medium soft that you were mentioning without the previous stop, but this penalty might prove very costly for him at the end of the race.
Exactly, so going to have to wait and see how everything pans out. Different strategic options for many drivers. So we're going to have to wait and see which of them pan out the greatest. Iker Baena is penalized. He got overtaken by Sven Zerner, who beats him into the pits. They both opt to go into the pits.
I'm not sure that Iker wanted to go to the pits, but he was left no other option by Sven Zerner, who was overtaking him into the braking zone and decided to go ahead. So if he didn't to pit this lap, he was definitely made to. In the meantime, Dario Iemolu inherits the leader position. He leads this race with Domenico Lovecchi right behind him. Do you think that Domenico will try to go to the end on these mediums?
I'm not sure. He just lost a second on the previous lap to Lovecchi. So I believe Domenico is going to the end. Sorry, I was talking about Dario. Lovecchi will go. That's my bet. Domenico will go to the end on these tires. Dario, I think Dario is actually thinking of it, but he did lose a second to Lovecchi on the previous lap. So I'm not sure what the plan for Dario is, but I really do believe he's actually thinking about trying to take those mediums to the end.
We have Thomas Ronhard right behind Daniele Haddad, not attacking for now, but let's see if he has a better exit from the chicane, which it seems like he had. He might try to attack, but Daniele Haddad immediately going to the outside and leaving no space for Thomas to try to attack him. And there is a virtual safety car.
Yeah, there's a virtual safety car, and I have no idea why. I don't see anyone parked on the track. So I am not sure why this virtual safety car could have been deployed for, but I'm going to leave you to work that one out. Maybe Marcus is going to the pits. Does he have to swap his front wing? No, he's just taking advantage. Sorry, he's taking advantage of the delta to try something up, swap on a new set of softs, potentially go for the fastest lap at least. He has nothing to lose. He was already out of contention for the points paying positions, so let's see what he's able to achieve from here on in. In the meantime, it was Flory Weers.
And Thomas was a bit distracted. Sorry to interrupt. Thomas was a bit distracted and almost collided into the rear of Daniele Haddad, arriving at the European. But yeah, so far, all drivers managing the delta. Let's see if there is no surprises at the end of this virtual safety car.
But it is green flag racing. We are back to green flag racing here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, but it was Flory who potentially caused that virtual safety car, because he just went into the pits to retire his car. So we didn't quite catch what happened, but potentially it had something to do with that retirement from the Alpine driver. Ronhard, of course, is penalized, but he's really keeping Haddad and Krit ahead of him honest. And they do have fresher tires than everyone ahead of them, so I'm not sure if they are still... I don't know if there's enough time left for them to catch up to the top 4, though. Domenico Lovecchi is gaining massive amounts of time on Dario Lemulo, but will it be enough for him to, once he gets up to him, to overtake him? One thing is to catch up to the leader, another differently thing entirely is to actually pull off an overtaking maneuver. So yes, Dario's tires are completely gone. I'm sure he's feeling it, especially by the development of the margin of time between Dario and Domenico, but let's see how well of a defense he puts up to the Ferrari driver. Icarbena, in the meantime, swapped positions with, I believe it was Sven Zerner. No, sorry, it was actually Baena overtaking Alessio Di Capua and demoting Alessio to the last of the points paying positions. And
compounds showing up and doing their job. I believe that Thomas will be in more of a pressure to attack Daniele Haddad, because otherwise Sven Zerner will be the one attacking him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit of a sticky situation. Sven Zerner right on the back of the Red Bull of Thomas Ronhard, putting some urgency on the driver from Milton Keynes, surely. And he's going for it with the DRS. Ronhard doesn't have much to do in order to defend. He was a bit boxed in by Haddad ahead of him, Zerner to his side, and he has to give up that position.
Trying to go for the inside. Now
go.
the outside into turn 2. They both negotiating the S's, a bit of contact, but keeping it clean. This is a trickier one to do side by side, and Thomas has to lift off his foot from the throttle and loses the position for Iker Baena that now is
in the meantime, sorry to interrupt, but Samuel Bean goes on a move on Dario Lemulo, who's already lost the lead, and he's lost P2 as well. With the DRS aided Aston Martin, he pulls himself up to P2, and now the hunt is on. Taking a look at the tire conditions, Samuel Bean has 4 laps fresher tires compared to Domenico Lovece, and the gap has been dwindling for quite a while now. Manolo Vidal also takes advantage of the struggles of the AlphaTauri driver, who is now demoted to outside of the podium positions, but the Aston Martin is surely giving him his all to try to capture up to that Ferrari, trying to take the most out of that 4-lap tire usage difference. In the meantime, Sven Zerner got past sorry, was that? No, Haddad got past Zerner? Not sure what happened there, but there was a swap of positions. Joanna, I ask you to follow that battle between P6 and P10 as we keep our eyes at the front of affairs. Samuel being very, very close to getting himself on the DRS zone. That's all he needs at the moment. His battery charge is not too well composed at the moment. It has surely seen better days, that battery charge for the overtake mode of Samuel Bean, but I don't think this occasion was the one where Bean got DRS. Manolo Villar is the one getting DRS off of the Aston Martin, and we might have a 3-way scrap for position. Sven Zerner at the back gets the overtake on Daniel Haddad with the DRS. Of course, this much fresher, much softer tires, and rather easy maneuver, rather academic maneuver. Iker Baena trying to replicate the same. He goes on the inside of Daniel Haddad, goes to the outside at turn 2, gets the maneuver done, up to P6. That was an important maneuver for him to make if he wanted to follow Sven Zerner. Of course, he's trying to get as far away as possible from Haddad and his own teammate, because Zerner and himself are penalized. Dario is penalized himself, and he now has that orange filling up his mirrors of Sven Zerner approaching quite rapidly. Sam Bean at the front, closing in on Domenico Lovece, but for now, no overtaking maneuvers attempted from any of the top 3, Joanna.
Let's see the couple driving on the inside of Thomas Ronhar into the hairpin and managing to pass him before the straight. Meanwhile, I think that the Red Bull driver will try to stick with Alessio, not lose any gap, and to be honest, Daniel Haddad letting Sven and Iker. Well, something happened.
Dario went straight on. Dario retired on the pits. Dario retired in the pit lane. He just went straight on into the pit. I don't know if he collided with the pit wall or something, but I was on board with Daniel Haddad. He got overtaken by Zerner and Baena and just went on into the pits and just retired. So yeah, not sure what happened there. Maybe just frustration from not being able to get a better performance and just called it quits. But yeah, surely he could have taken something out of this race with the penalties to all the drivers around him, but he decided that it just wasn't his day.
Maybe a flat spot would explain his frustration. In the meantime, I was saying, Daniel Haddad letting Sven and Iker by, it's actually quite a smart move in my opinion. They have the softer tire, they can take him and by consequence Patrick to Samuel Bean, and they have the penalty, so the position will be theirs in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Thomas Ronhar looking to the inside of Alessio Di Capo and passing him before the break for the last chicane, surviving the Wall of Champions and consolidating his 8th place.
Yeah, exactly. So rather academic maneuver there from him. Alessio, sorry, Domenico, did he disconnect? I'm not sure what happened to him, but for me, yeah, I can see in your monitor he's P1 but disconnected. For me, he's just dropped down to P3. So So yeah, Domenico has left the session apparently, and what a poor timing for him to lose it. And now looks like it's going to be
podium for Haddad.
Podium potentially for Haddad, but all bets are off between the top two drivers. Manolo Villar and Samuel Bin, Sven Zanner and Ika Bena are all in. Capua is out. Capua is out, and we have a virtual safety car. Capua is out. I'm not sure what happened, potentially in a battle with Thomas Hohenhard, but you just basically ended up going straight on that turns 8 and 9 chicane and just crashed out of the race, potentially after contact with Hohenhard, as they were battling for P8 for a little bit now. And that converted into a full-on safety car. It is a full-on safety car, and we have drivers coming into the pits. We have Patrick Rito, Nicolo Vecce, and Thomas Hohenhard going into the pitch for a brand new set of soft tires. Could this be the winning maneuver for these drivers? Because Pookie, Darn, Rookie, and Marcus are too far away to catch up. So 6th to P9 are going to be on brand new tires, Pookie on brand new mediums, but those drivers are going to be on brand new tires, and this could be a rather winning maneuver, or at least a podium clinching maneuver, considering the penalties from Zerner and Bena.
I apologize to Daniel Haddad for the first curse of the season. I had just said that he was in a good position for a podium, and he's the last driver that wasn't able to dive into the pits for this full-on safety car. That put him at a huge disadvantage. Like Manolo and Samuel are also in a slightly complicated situation, I'd say. Sven and Ika already had the penalties. Let's see what happens in a few laps. I believe the safety car will go out this lap.
Yeah, exactly. Safety car back into the pits at the end of this lap. Going to follow Samuel Bean to try and see for the second time in a row is second place at the end of a safety car period. So let's see how quickly he reacts to Manolo's restart, and looks like Manolo got actually quite early on the power and didn't make himself any favors, because Samuel Bean is right on the back of him. He's going to pull off to the outside of turn 1. It's going to convert into the inside of turn number 2 if all goes correctly to plan. Oh, nice switch back there from Samuel Bean. Great defense from Manolo Villar. They're going side by side. There's contact, but no arm, no foul between the two of them. Sven Zerner has privileged view of the battle. He actually gets a better exit. He's squeezed onto the wall. Samuel Bean has to correct the car, and it's real wide. There's another collision. Two of them have to abort the entrance to that corner, and there's a huge mess. Sven Zerner is in the lead. Daniel Haddad gets a better exit out of all of this, and they are pack racing as if this was NASCAR at the moment. And Sven Zerner cuts the corner there, manages to keep himself in front of Patrick Croit though, but Daniel Haddad gets the lead of Grand Prix. Thomas Hohenhard trying to make the most out of this situation. There's another collision, and two cars have rotated, three cars have spun as it is. Zerner, Kreutz, and Thomas Hohenhard trying to make the most out of those brand new soft tires, and then find themselves in a wall. Istvan Pukki, who out of the three of them was at the rear of that group, out of the four drivers that pitted for brand new tires. He not only pitted for not brand new softs, pitted for brand new mediums, but he was in the rear of that group, and look at how he managed to capitalize on that. He is now going to have a massive advantage on traction on Manolo Vidal. Daniel Haddad took the opportunity to just check out from everyone and just says goodbye at the beginning of this lap. Istvan Pukki has the penalty. Manolo Villar is putting his chips on the possibility of following him with the DRS and not losing out on that P2, but Istvan Pukki is just going to have a massive traction advantage and is already pulled off by quite a few car lengths at the moment. Patrick Wright at the back is going to challenge Samuel Bean for position. He actually gets the move done into the chicane of turns 8 and and 9th. Van Zerner also overtaking Samuel Bean, who might have gotten damage, not only the tire wear, but possibly damage. Samuel Bean gets sent down to P10, but Daniel Haddad, just dealing with the hand he was given, managed to capitalize on the others' mistakes, and there you have it. What a great way to start the season. Daniel Haddad crosses the racing line to get the win of this Canadian Grand Prix. Beautiful last few moments from him, capitalizing on the others' mistakes, and he does get the win. Manolo Villar, after the circumstances not going his way early on the race, he gets himself P2. Istvan Pukki also, I believe, got himself a little bit of drama, grabs himself the last of the podium paying positions. And what an emotional end to this race, Gaunt.
What an end of the race! I just let you go by because there wasn't even a stop in the action. I thought that it was well, P1 and P2 were quite close and they touched, and then diving into the second chicane, the second Mercedes, sorry, I'm missing the name, not Patrick, his teammate, dived a bit too. I think he missed his braking point and caused a bit of a collision there, and then it all went south from there. Then again into the hairpin, those four spinning out of the hairpin. I think it was McLaren and the Red Bull squeezing a third car in the middle, and there was no way three cars were going to make out of that hairpin in Canada. So yeah, a lot of action and jinxed for Daniel Haddad with his first win of the season. Congratulations to the Aston Martin driver, as well as to Manolo Vidar and the McLaren driver that finishes our podium here.
Yeah, stop your stream, please. Let's just get ourselves back and collect ourselves from that intense action at the moment, and back to our commentary booth, and we are going to have a possibility to talk with the podium for today's race. Hopefully the drivers are available for sharing some words with us. So it was Daniel Haddad, right? It was Istvan, it was
and Istvan
Villar, right? Oh, Manolo, yeah. It was Manolo and Istvan Pukki, right?
Yes.
I can't.
And if you want, Huki was the driver of the day.
I can't find him. I can't find Istvan.
Give me a second then. I think he's. Yeah. He was in the McLaren, right?
Yeah. Istvan was in the McLaren. So exciting stuff at the end, and I'm really at. It's rare that I am at a shortage of words, but that was proper chaos there at the end of today's race. Of course, that safety car, the restart was always going to be chaotic, and then the contact, right? The contact between Samuel Bean and I believe at the moment was Manolo set off a chain reaction. Then we had Iker Bena trying to take advantage of that, only ended up making it through wide into turn number 6. Ended up making matters worse. Two drivers had to abort the chicane of turns 6 and 7, and from then all hell broke loose. No one was going to give back an inch. Just as I was mentioning earlier on this broadcast, no driver likes to give an inch, especially at this level where the gaps are so close. And in the first race of the season, where you need to establish in yourself a good start, get yourself with your right foot forward and try to capitalize on others' mistakes. Daniel Haddad did. He managed to somehow grab about 5-6 places on that whole chaos and managed to get himself the top spot at the end, so 25 points for him. Not sure actually got the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. We are going to take a look at that after everything, after the dust has settled. But yeah, Joanna, how are things going on the possibility of having a word from our drivers?
I know as much as you do.
Yeah, okay. Well,
let's see.
yeah.
Let's give it a few more minutes to see if anyone wants to join.
Yeah, just 5 more minutes and then we are going to have to wrap things up. So just going to wait a little bit for the answers from the drivers, if they are available to comment or not on their perspective of the Grand Prix. It would be quite interesting to see what they have to say. Of course, the end got chaotic, but it was an interesting race since the start. Of course, that chaotic incident made most of the drivers in the top 10 who started on soft to swap for a brand new set of mediums, and then some drivers decided to go on another set of mediums quite early and do about 15 laps on them, and other drivers decided to do about 10 laps on the mediums, and other drivers actually went into the softs. And so
I think we'll wrap up for tonight.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Hopefully next week the drivers will be able to join us when the race ends. I know you're full on adrenaline when you finish the race, but it's also always nice to hear a few words, even if the end of the race was as chaotic as it was.
Yeah, exactly. So we are going to get ourselves together hopefully in 1 week's time, as we are headed for, what is it? Looking at the calendar, it is Belgium. We are going to Spa-Francorchamps, and another classic track, so it's surely going to be an amazing race. But yeah, from here, Ruben, Race Pugmania, and Joanna Gaunt-Brit, everything from us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll get you back for the second round of the championship at the Belgium Grand Prix. Hope to see you guys then, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.